Hi everyone, it's Alan Lepofsky coming to you from Smartsheet Engage 2018 here in Bellevue, Washington. Now for those of us that don't live here, that's Seattle. I can tell because it's raining outside, so I know I'm in the right place. Now Smartsheet's coming off of a great year. Earlier this year in April, they IPO'd, raising $150 million. Stock has continued to do well. I think it was initially in the $18 to $20 range. It's now in the $28 to $30 range, so had quite a good year there. They also made a big acquisition in Converse.ai, a natural language processing engine that allows information and content and conversations to take place inside messaging clients, chat clients, chatbot type of functionality. And I think we're going to see more of that integration between the two products as the years continue. Now, what is Smartsheet exactly? They're one of the vendors I cover in what I call work coordination platforms. These are tools that aren't just project management, they aren't just business process automation, they aren't just collaboration, they sort of bring those worlds together. They take the best of project and task management, the things people have to get done, the assignments, the tasks, the priorities. They bring together process automation, so those linear steps, those triggers, the branches that happen, the decisions that need to be made, the routing, and all of the linear paths and all the serial paths that people have to do in order to get a workflow or a process happening. And they add all of the collaboration features to that, conversations and sharing and co-authoring and all of those things. So work coordination platforms bring together the best of project and task management, process automation, and collaboration. And Smartsheet is one of the vendors doing this. Now, as I walk around talking to all the customers here, there's a myriad of use cases that people are doing for this. Everything from launching stores to HR onboarding to building new products. So this sort of work coordination platform doesn't have a specific target audience. It can be used for sales. It can be used for mergers and acquisitions. Anytime people need to gather information, bring it together, have that information be used in decision making, and have processes sort of keyed off of that information is where vendors such as Smartsheet come in. This morning's keynote, there was 3 key themes they discussed when they were talking about the new features that they're bringing out. Empowerment, speed, and scale. Now, empowerment is all about giving end users the ability to enter that information faster, find that information faster, and more importantly, use that information that's in Smartsheet to make business decisions and get work done faster. Speed and scale, obviously from an enterprise standpoint, it's things like Active Directory integration and scalability and the size of sheets and the amount of things that it can connect to, etc. So overall, lots of new features that were mentioned. In that empowerment section, there was things like @mentions that let people get notified about information that's taking place in Smartsheet. And it's not just notifying them in Smartsheet itself, it can actually relay those messages to their favorite messaging apps. So things like Workplace by Facebook or Google Hangouts, Slack, and announced this morning, I believe, Microsoft Teams is coming very soon. A connector to Tableau, so you can use your information that's inside Smartsheet to create better dashboards and more information visualization. A connector to Microsoft Dynamics, so you can bring in business data into your sheets. Now, I find that interesting because I actually don't think Microsoft Planner has integration with Microsoft Dynamics yet. I could be wrong, but I don't believe anything was announced at Microsoft Ignite last week around that. So it seems like Smartsheet has better integration than perhaps Microsoft currently does, but obviously I'd expect that to be coming at a future date. They introduced something called dynamic views, which allows people to create filtered views of information that they can share with people instead of seeing the entire sheet. So I think that's really interesting, and clients were very excited about that. But I think the thing that was most important and the biggest announcement that I'm taking away is this idea of a visual workflow builder. Now, those of you that follow me know I talk a lot about automation and how important that is to the future of work, to help people sort of survive this information overload and task overload and all of these things that are overwhelming people. Automation is a key element to that. Now, the visual workflow builder, what it allows people to do is sort of create the timeline of steps that are occurring, actions that are occurring, events that are occurring, and then the triggers that take place. So if a value in a cell equals something, then what can happen and who can you notify and what information can be updated, or creating new rows or new columns or new sheets, or all of those different things. So a variety of actions that create a variety of triggers that occur. Now, they've had this feature in for a while, but they're continuing to enhance it. So things like date and time-based triggers. And also that visual builder is something that's new. They've really enhanced the way to build it. Now, right now, the steps are linear. When something occurs, what occurs next. But they're also introducing, coming soon, the idea of branching or conditional or sort of multi-step workflows. So when a question gets asked, it may have different answers. If the answer is yes, go in one direction. If the answer is no, go in another direction. If a value is above a certain area, if a value is below a certain area. So look for more coming in this automation and workflow space. I mentioned that I think that's important to the future of work, and I'm glad to see that lots of vendors are jumping on this automation space. Earlier this year, you had Workfront create a product called Fusion that also does something similar. You had Box, right before BoxWorks, acquire a company called Progressly to enhance Box's workflow automation capabilities, which includes their own native engine as well as Box Relay. So they're really stepping things up. And then Slack acquired a company called Missions, and Missions does the same thing, allows people to visually build these journeys through their data and through their steps. So combined as a theme, as an analyst, I'm seeing that automation and workflow is something that's really starting to become important in the future of work, and I'm glad to see Smartsheet is also jumping into that area. And I think their acquisition earlier this year of Converse.ai, we're going to see that play a role in it too, adding some natural language processing to those workflow capabilities, I would imagine, in the years to come. Now, another big theme they talked about in the keynote is mobile access. So not only do you have mobile access to your sheets, you now have mobile access to your forms, and you can actually create content directly on the fly from your mobile device. Now that also includes features like a barcode scanner, so you can be at a store and you can be taking a picture of a product, for example, and that barcode scanner can actually input information into the various fields and forms in your sheets in Smartsheet. And finally, they're introducing, coming soon, a new way to view the Kanban style of sheets. So if you're familiar with lanes of information, or swim lanes, or card view, it's called a lot of different things, but columns of cards of representing tasks or events in a product, referred to as Kanban, they're now making it easier to drag and drop cards, even on a mobile device, to move a task or a process along from one step to another. So lots of great features are coming in empowerment, in speed and scalability. So Smartsheet is really helping automate processes, help people make decisions, and become more enterprise ready with more scalability, more Active Directory integration, and all of those things that system administrators are asking for. Now, as I've walked around Smartsheet Engage, I've spoken to a lot of customers today, and a common theme keeps occurring, and it's one that's both good and bad. And that theme is, wow, I didn't know Smartsheet could do this. Now, the good aspect is that people are discovering all sorts of use cases they didn't realize. Again, I mentioned this is a lot more than just project and task management. Things like forms capabilities to create inputs of information, or templates that people didn't realize they have, or what they call accelerators, these pre-packaged sheets and templates and connectors and all of that to sort of create mini applications directly inside Smartsheet. And I think customers are getting excited. Now, I'm really impressed at the conference itself how many sessions are dedicated just to specific use cases. So how you use it in sales, how you use it in marketing, and how many of these sessions are being led by customer stories. So all throughout the 2 days of Smartsheet Engage, lots of customer stories. I'd say almost all the sessions I looked at on my agenda were being run by customers telling their story. Now, I'm surprised actually during the keynote they didn't focus a little more on customer stories. I would have liked to have actually seen one or two big clients on stage kind of demoing how they use the product, but there, maybe some feedback for Engage 19. Now, so again, I mentioned, it's really good that people are learning about it now. The bad part is the fact that they didn't know. So there's a couple things that are happening on that front. Obviously, there's just awareness and education and marketing that will teach people what the product is capable of doing. But I also would like to see more in the product itself, sort of guiding people through the art of the possible. So what could the process be doing? And there's a lot of great tools out there I cover in the space called digital adoption platforms that help guide people through using their software. So I'd like to see perhaps maybe a little bit more integration there, a little bit more onboarding, information that help people get started with how to use Smartsheet. But again, it's a good problem to have. You want to hear your customers realizing that they can do a lot more with your product, not a lot less. Now, areas I would like to see Smartsheet improve on. As an analyst, I got to sort of wrap up with where I'd like to see them go in the future. And again, user experience is obviously one that's constantly on product managers' minds. I went to the future session today, and they talked about redoing some of the navigation, redoing some of the user experience, and there was a lot of cheers from the customers, and a lot of people were really happy about that. Areas I'd like to see improvement on are things like analytics and dashboard and reporting. I'd like to see a little bit more native functionality to extract insights from what's taking place inside all of that information. And the reason I'm hard on that process is because I believe all the collaboration tools and the messaging tools have a lot of insight into conversations that people are having. But work coordination platforms like Smartsheet, they have the gold. They have who's working with whom, on what projects, what the status are, what's getting done, what's not getting done. I actually find work coordination process or platforms far more valuable than most of the tools in an employee tool set. And because of that, I have high expectations of what can be done inside these tools. So I would like to see more extraction of data, more extraction of trends, patterns, insights. And that leads me to my next point about AI. So obviously, I'm going to be here talking about artificial intelligence and what its role is. And we see a lot of it taking place in things like email clients and chat clients. You have emails that are being automated and replies that are being created for you. You have even the creation of PowerPoint slides being automated through some artificial intelligence. Group messaging clients sort of telling you what you should be looking at. I haven't seen a lot of innovation in the AI space in the work coordination platform space. That's not just Smartsheet I'm talking about, but even from their competitors. I would like my project or process or task management system to really become more intelligent, to give me recommendations and feedback on what I should be working on. Not just simple things like status that are overdue, but things like looking at my calendar and knowing how much time I have, looking at my tasks and realizing which of those I should be filling in and which things that I should be doing. I'd like it to be more proactive in telling me things that work and things that don't work, things that I should be taking action on right away and things that I should be either delegating. So I'm looking for a lot more assistance, and I don't say that as a criticism, I say that as an opportunity. I think the world of artificial intelligence and automation and personalization is a huge field that's coming in this space of work coordination platforms. So there you have it. There are some things that I'd like to see coming in future versions of these products. I think Smartsheet Engage has been an incredible event. I think, again, sold out, 2,000 people in attendance, extremely excited customers as I walk around. They're speaking to each other, not just speaking to Smartsheet employees, but they're learning and they're networking about what's possible. I think Smartsheet's had a great year, as I mentioned, with their IPO and with the acquisition of Converse, with new templates that are coming out and new use cases they're having and features that are rolling out. I expect to see more into the last quarter of this year, and excited to see what they're going to be bringing in 2019. All of this adds up to why Smartsheet is one of the vendors that I list on Constellation's shortlist for work coordination platforms, and it's one of the applications, platforms that I think you should be looking at. This has been Alan Lepofsky coming to you from Smartsheet Engage 2018 in Bellevue, Washington. If you have any questions or any feedback or any thoughts, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks. Bye.